Hey guys, it's Rachel. I'm really sorry that this video is going up so late because it's Saturday night and I normally make a video for Thursday. I started a new job I started a new job on Wednesday. So I came up to London on Tuesday and it was late, it was pretty late, and I had a suitcase that was just enormous. And then I was up the next morning pretty early to get into work, so I knew where I was going and stuff. And I ended up working. What time did I leave the flat? Like 9 o'clock, and I got home at like 11:30 in the evening. So it was kind of a bit hectic. But it was amazing as well at the same time, and I had the next day off, and even if I had been asked to go in, I really wouldn't have been able to. It's taking a lot for my body to adjust being here. But it's basically an internship of some sort, or work opportunity. So it's not really decided what I'm going to be doing, but I have been helping out with preparing things for the photo shoots. And then yesterday I just worked with one of the other girls. She kind of it's like the business director, I guess, and doing some work with her. And I am really, really enjoying it. And on Monday I'm going to actually sit down with Hermione and Madeline and just figure out what I'm going to be doing, to be quite honest. But I am really, really enjoying it, and it's making me incredibly happy, and it just really feels like a brilliant start to the new year. I've been off today, which is cool. Finally got myself some food in, and I'm just going to kind of chill out tonight. I wanted to get this done as well. This week we've been looking at the competitive element of eating disorders, but also not just within eating disorders in the sense of competition, which I will discuss with, who's iller than who's thinner than who deserves treatment, who doesn't deserve treatment. But also the element can maybe it is present with the eating disorder, I think it is, but it also stays on with you for quite a long time after. And that's really to do with competitiveness generally. So work, college, school, anything really, just anything and everything that potentially causes you to compare yourself and to not feel good enough and to feel crap about yourself. So an example which is still, it's not really competitiveness, but not being able to get a job. And I know a lot of people who struggle with that, and it's a big problem in this country at the moment, but it's also a problem in many other places. And it does leave you thinking, well, why am I not getting work? And fortunately enough, I'm strong enough inside myself to know that it isn't personal. Obviously it's personal because you're not getting the job, but personal in the sense that you can only do so much to help yourself. So where I'll start is within the eating disorder. Sorry, my nose is it's starting to, trying to snow outside, and I've just been outside in it. So within the eating disorder, it is renowned that people with eating disorders, one of the biggest element of an eating disorder is the competitiveness and worthiness. And so I cannot, or you could not necessarily say to somebody you have an eating disorder, because their response may be something along the lines of, no I don't, I eat too much, or I weigh too much, or I don't look like this person, or I don't look like that person. And I think one of the biggest issues, and it is kind of being addressed within eating disorders, and I felt it myself, was that we have an image inside of our head of what somebody with an eating disorder looks like. And even if someone's struggling with bulimia itself, there is still a kind of anorexic voice there, very, very much so. I, fortunately enough, never dealt with bulimia, but I think people I hope I'm correct in saying this, with bulimia, when that's kind of their primary issue, do struggle immensely with anorexic thoughts, and more often than not don't take their illness seriously because they are not the image of a person with anorexia. And what has been frustrating over the years is that when somebody's been interviewed over their eating disorder, it has focused on somebody being completely emaciated. Sorry, I'm just trying to hold this. Being completely emaciated. And so you look at yourself and think, and I know I did, well, I'm not really ill because I don't look like that person. And what goes on in magazines is that they need to show the person at their illest. Illest? Is that even English? And so you may have a person who shows themselves when they were completely emaciated and then shows themselves when they are better. And I can understand that use of showing how extreme that can be. But all that does is feed into competitiveness. And one of the things that used to happen for me, getting ill was never about celebrity culture. It wasn't. It had nothing to do with it. And yet when I was ill, I would think, I'd see a picture of somebody like in a magazine on the front cover and I'd be like, well, she's smaller than me, but why does she look so amazing? Why is her hair so beautiful? Why is her skin so clear when I'm sat here and I don't feel as thin as her, but my hair's falling out and my skin is awful and I feel like shit and I look like shit? Why does she look so amazing? And it would take that away. The other competitiveness is obviously with people who you're around. I've got a bit of an issue with eating disorder units because I think there can be a huge degree of competitiveness. If you put somebody who's a more normal weight in with people who aren't, there's going to be an issue there. And unfortunately, well, fortunately that doesn't happen, but unfortunately, people only seem to be getting the help and support that they need when they are completely emaciated. So you very rarely get a normal, like somebody of a normal size, say my size, who would be put in hospital because of their eating disorder. And so what then happens is that you compare yourselves with those people and you let yourself get worse. And you get worse because that's the nature of an eating disorder, because it doesn't just kind of stay still. It worsens as time goes on. And you only get the help when you tend to hit a certain weight or something happens. And that is something I've seen time and time and time again. Despite how poorly I was, I never got support in the NHS. I mean, I don't anymore, and I haven't done all through my illness, and I know how ill I've been and the struggles I still deal with now with my mood. But that element of feeling like you need to be a certain weight to even just go to therapy is a massive, massive issue. And I remember going to be assessed for my eating disorder, and they put the waiting area to go to see the psychiatrist. Right, it was actually on the inpatient. It was on one of the sort of corridor areas of where the inpatients were. So obviously they're walking past me. What's the first thing I do? I compare myself to them, and I'm sat there feeling like literally like a complete fraud, as though I don't really have a problem. And this is the issue that really needs confronting in eating disorders. And I know people who also won't go to self-help groups because they say to themselves, well, I'm not thin enough to go to a self-help group, and everyone there is going to be thinner than me and iller than me. And the group I run online is run online purposely because I don't want people necessarily having their first moment of joining a group to be sitting in a room with people they've never met before. So before we even did the first meetup, which was just having a coffee like meetup, the girls got the chance to talk to one another and get to know one another, so that when they met, there wasn't this overwhelming sense of who's thinner than who. And whilst I know members in the group still have that problem, they've built friendships enough to, I hope, not compare themselves in that way. And I know that there are problems there. I speak to many of the girls about those issues, but I would like to think they're reduced slightly by the fact that they know the people. And I think that once you get to know somebody, that although you might compare yourself to them, that with their support, so say if one of the girls can't come to the group because she's saying, I look awful, you're just going to all judge me because of how fat I am and compared to the rest of you, I just look awful, that they can say, look, come on, we know you, we've met before, we're not going to judge you, and let's just get together and have a chat. And that's a really powerful thing to be able to deal with when it comes to getting help with people. And I just think it's so important. With regards to competitiveness in other senses, I was hugely competitive. I wouldn't be able to deal with it if I didn't get the right marks. But the thing with me is I wasn't competitive with other people. I haven't really ever felt, and I've never felt like I needed to be better than anybody else. I've struggled with insecurities with regards to feeling not good enough. It's something that used to happen with my girlfriend, that I would see all that she was and had and think, well, I have none of those things. And I still do that now. And I have to really sort of, slap myself a little bit and just say, Rach, you've got what you've got. You need to remember what you have and what you can do. And obviously starting this job, the first thing I was doing was, well, I can't do what they're doing, can't do what those interns are doing, because what they're doing, involves skills to do with fashion, to do with textiles, to do with fitting, literally handcrafting beads to a dress. I didn't feel I fitted with the sort of marketing PR side of it. I certainly wasn't a designer, and so I felt a little bit lost. And I did judge myself on that. And afterwards, I just thought, you know what, Rach, you've had a really amazing time, and you just have to take that from it. And I question myself all the time. I take pictures. I don't think I'm a good enough photographer. I don't particularly think I'm brilliant at everything. I think that I have a number of skills that I'm good at, but I don't feel like I have one specific thing that I could excel at, and I find that very, very difficult. And I have to challenge myself with that all the time. And to a degree, that's normal, because we want to improve and we want to do better. And I don't think that has to be a bad thing. But if we are constantly competing against ourselves with other people, we're not going to get anywhere, because we're just going to make ourselves miserable. So my biggest advice with that, well, with regards to eating disorders, I think that it's something you just have to challenge. You really, and it's not really going to get better until you start to get better. As for competition and competitive with yourself, with other people, maybe it's about listening to what other people say to you. Maybe it's about listening to the voice inside of you that say, no, you are good enough. And I have to just sit here today. I'm 31. I still don't have a career as it is, but I'm doing what I can do, and that's all I can do. And all you can do is what you can do. And all that you can be is all that you can be. And all that you can do is keep moving forwards. And what I would say to you is be in that moment, live in that moment, do what you can in that moment, and allow yourself to live without this fear of feeling like you're not good enough, because you are good enough. I'm good enough. If I'm good enough, you're good enough. I'm no better than any of you watching this video. We're all as good as each other. We all have our own capabilities. We all have our own personalities. We all have the different unique things that we can offer to the world. And so if I have things to offer to the world, you have things to offer to the world. And if you're sat here thinking, but Rachel has things to offer to the world, I'm thinking, well, you do. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm sorry it's so late, and as ever, I will say I love you all, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and okay guys, bye.